Hello, time for another Man in Gray book review. Today's book is How I Discovered Poetry by Marilyn Nelson with illustrations by Hadley Hooper. This book was published by Rocky Pond Books in 2014. It's 112 pages. Marilyn Nelson is a children's author and poet, an African-American children's author and poet. And this book is a collection of 50 sonnets which describe her childhood in the 1950s. The first poem is set in 1950 and the last in 1960. She ages from 4 years old to 14 during this time period. Marilyn Nelson, her father was one of the first African American Air Force officers in the United States. And so one of the themes that you see running through this book is the fact that they're often the only black family on the base or in the whole neighborhood or in the school. And so one of the themes is her feelings of being an outsider. She does make friends. She doesn't face nearly as much blatant racism as she would have faced if she'd been in the South, but she still has this feeling of being an outsider and being different from everyone else. Another theme is the difficulty of maintaining friendships when they move so much. Because her father was an officer in the Air Force, and this was 1950s during the peak years of the Cold War, he was transferred a lot. During this 10-year time period, the Nelsons lived in Ohio, then they were transferred to Texas, then to Colorado, then to Kansas, then to California, then to New Hampshire, then to Maine, then back to California, then back to Texas, and finally in Oklahoma. So that was 10 different bases they were transferred to in a 10-year period. So she would just barely make friends, and then they'd be off somewhere else and transferred somewhere else. And then underneath this, as a background, there's the burgeoning civil rights movement. There's references to the Montgomery bus boycott that Rosa Parks started, the Birmingham school bombing that killed those four kids, and segregation in schools and so forth, and reference to the Little Rock High School where the military had to forcibly integrate the school. But that's all in the background. There's another theme that runs through here that is more personal, which is her love of reading and books. She makes friends with every librarian in every one of these bases. There's either a school library or a base library or a community library, and she makes friends with all of those and really becomes a big fan of reading. And then toward the end, she discovers the beauty of poetry, and that's the title of the book, and she decides to try her hand at writing poetry. I want to read one of the poems and kind of give you an idea of the flavor of them. This book is one that can be read by children, but it are adults. There's some of the adults will get more of the historical references than kids will, but it's certainly appropriate for a wide range of age groups. I'm going to read one of the poems that comes near the end of the book. This is a poem called The Baby Picture Guessing Game. And it takes place at the Clinton Sherman Air Force Base in Oklahoma in 1959. The Clinton Sherman Air Base is an air base that was closed several years back, but it was near a small town called Burns Flat, Oklahoma. So this is kind of out in the middle of nowhere. The home ec baby picture guessing game ended soon for me. Everybody could see which baby I was. She was the only black kid. They all looked alike. When all the babies were identified, they gave the cutest baby prize to me. And we ate the cupcakes we'd baked and iced. My classmates voted down a class party at the Elk City Theater because Negroes have to sit in a balcony. Oh, it's not a bed of thornless roses. Some of the farm boys punch each other's arms and make kissy sounds when they walk past me. But Mommy and Daddy tell me every day that I'm a cygnet in a flock of ducks. And anyway, it isn't Little Rock. So there's still some kind of, some racism there, but it's not as bad as in the South. And she still does able to make friends. I should point out, too, that this book has some really nice pen and ink drawings to accompany it by Hadley Hooper. Find another one here that's a little bit bigger. This is Grand Canyon, the illustration of the Grand Canyon. So it's a really thoughtful, beautifully written book. it's a good introduction to the idea of sonnets if you're studying sonnets, um, and also poetry in general. I mean, these are very accessible poems, and as you go through, you get to see her mature and become and kind of come out of her shell a little bit and embrace the world. And she's aware of the changes that are happening. Of course, in the next decade, in the 60s, there'll be huge changes that occur as well. So a very, very well written, very thoughtful poetry book by an underappreciated poet in the United States. The book is called How I Discovered Poetry. The author is Marilyn Nelson. This has been another Man in Gray book review. Thanks for watching.